Ezine was a strikingly beautiful woman, known far and wide for her radiant looks. But behind her physical beauty was a heart full of bitterness. She had grown up in poverty, watching her parents struggle to feed their family. As a child, Ezine vowed she would never end up like her mother, a woman perpetually bent over her farm tools, weathered by years of toil. Ezine dreamed of wealth, power, and prestige, a life where she would be envied and adored. But life had not been kind to Ezine. She married Ndubisi, a kind-hearted but poor farmer. He was a man of integrity, well-liked in the village, but his humble lifestyle could not satisfy Ezine's hunger for more. For years, they struggled together, working the land and living modestly. Though Ndubisi was content with their life, Ezine's dissatisfaction grew like a weed, choking any joy she might have felt. Their marriage was further strained by years of childlessness. In a culture where children were seen as the ultimate blessing, Ezine was ridiculed and mocked by other women in the village. Whispers followed her wherever she went. "She is barren," they said, "her womb is cursed." Even Ndubisi's family began to pressure him to take another wife, one who could bear him children. Though Ndubisi defended Ezine fiercely, her pride was wounded and her bitterness deepened. Then, one fateful day, Ezine discovered she was pregnant. The news spread through the village like wildfire, and the couple became the center of attention. The ridicule turned to admiration, and the women who once mocked her began to envy her glow. When it was revealed that she was carrying twins, the excitement in the village reached a fever pitch. Twins were considered a special blessing from the gods, a double portion of joy and prosperity. For the first time in her life, Ezine felt a flicker of happiness. But deep down, her hunger for wealth and power had not been extinguished. If anything, the taste of admiration from the villagers only fueled her desire for more. She began to wonder if there was a way to use her newfound status as a mother to achieve the life she had always dreamed of. It was during this time that Ezine heard whispers of Nwani Ala, a mysterious old woman who lived on the outskirts of the village. Nwani Ala was a seer, known for her ability to communicate with the gods and grant people's deepest desires for a price. Desperate to escape the shadows of her past and secure a future of wealth and fame, Ezine decided to visit her. One evening, under the cover of darkness, Ezine left her home and made her way to Nwani Ala's secluded hut. The air was thick with the scent of herbs and smoke, and the forest seemed to hold its breath as she approached. Nwani Ala sat on a low stool, her wrinkled face illuminated by the flickering light of a clay lamp. Her eyes, clouded with age, seemed to pierce through Ezine's soul. "I know why you are here," the old woman said, before Ezine could speak. "You seek power, wealth, and the admiration of all who have ever mocked you." Ezine nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. "Yes, I want to be someone. I want the world to bow before me." Nwani Ala chuckled, a sound that sent chills down Ezine's spine. "Such desires come at a price. Are you willing to pay it?" "I will do anything," Ezine said, her voice trembling but resolute. The seer leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The gods demand a sacrifice, the blood of your firstborn children." Ezine recoiled in horror. "My children! But they are a blessing from the gods." "Blessings can become curses if the gods will it," Nwani Ala replied coldly. "Your father betrayed the gods long ago, and his sins have followed you. If you wish to cleanse your lineage and rise above your station, you must make the ultimate sacrifice." Nwani Ala saw the conflict in her eyes and added, "You will gain more than wealth. You will gain power beyond your imagination. You will be untouchable." Ezine's resolve hardened. She nodded. "Tell me what I must do." 2 days later, under the cover of darkness, she wrapped her babies in white cloth and made her way to the cursed tree deep in the forest. The air was heavy with silence, the kind that made even the bravest hearts falter. The ground beneath the tree was soft, as though it had been waiting for her. Ezine dug with trembling hands, her tears falling freely. The babies stirred and whimpered, their tiny voices piercing the night. Her heart ached, but her ambition overpowered her maternal instincts. "Ikeme, Ifeanyi," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Forgive me! I have to do this." She placed the babies in the shallow grave and covered them with earth. Their cries grew muffled, then ceased. Ezine sat back, her hands trembling and her face streaked with tears. She felt a strange mix of relief and horror. Nwani Allah told her that her fortune will locate her 2 years from now, and the motive is to kill any form of suspicion. Ezine knew that the disappearance of her twin sons would raise questions, and she carefully crafted a plan to ensure no one suspected the truth. She decided to feign the grief of a heartbroken mother, using her tears as both a shield and a weapon to manipulate her husband and the close family. At dawn, Ezine stumbled back to their huts, her eyes red and swollen, her hair disheveled, and her body trembling. She collapsed onto the floor, clutching her stomach as if she were in unbearable pain. Ndubisi, who had been tending to the fire outside, rushed in at the sound of her sobbing. "Ezine, what is it? What happened? Where are the boys?" She didn't respond immediately, rocking back and forth as tears streamed down her face. She let out a heart-wrenching wail that froze Ndubisi in place. When she finally looked up at him, her expression was one of devastation. "They are gone, Ndubisi," she whispered, her voice breaking. "The gods, they've taken them from us." Ndubisi staggered backward, his face pale. "Gone? What do you mean? How? They were healthy yesterday." "Ezine, tell me what happened." She clutched at her chest, her sobs growing louder. I don't know, Ndubisi. I woke up in the middle of the night and they weren't breathing. Their little bodies were cold and their faces. Oh, Ndubisi, I can't bear it." Her cries filled the room, and Ndubisi, overcome with grief and confusion, sank to his knees. His hands trembled as he reached for her. Where are they now? What did you do?" Ezine's voice softened, her tone calculated but laced with sorrow. "I couldn't leave them in the hut, Ndubisi. I didn't want you to see them like that. I carried them to the forest, to the foot of the great tree, and I laid them to rest there. It was the only thing I could think to do." Now, in their community, it was right for a family member to bury a loved one's few hours to their death without informing anybody. This, according to them, reduces the grief of them seeing their dead cause. It increases their pain. And to the fact that even if the gods reveal that she killed her twins for money, nobody will ever believe because she has an innocent face and all this played up for her. Even the villagers and her close families sympathize with her cause. No one will ever believe she can hurt a fly, let alone taking lives, especially her newborn twins. After 2 years, Ezine's life transformed. Adding to it, she was pregnant again, so all this timing played on her favor. Nobody suspected her. Rather, the villagers believed her. Tichai has consoled her for 2 years of mourning and anguish. Her farm yielded an abundant harvest. Her beauty seemed to intensify, and traders from distant lands began to seek her out, offering her riches for her crops. She became the envy of the village, hosting lavish feasts and dressing in the finest clothing with newfound status, lifting her husband and families from abject poverty. The women who once mocked her now clamored for her attention, desperate to learn her secrets. But while the villagers celebrated her newfound fortune, she did not know how these fortunes keep pouring. But Amada, Ezine's childhood friend, had always been sharp-eyed and suspicious. While the rest of the family mourned the twins and believed Ezine's story, Amada couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Her instincts told her there was more to the tragedy than Ezine claimed. She had noticed strange behaviors. Ezine's overly dramatic grief, her avoidance of the Iroko tree where she claimed the twins were buried, and her occasional disappearances late at night. One moonless night, Amada spotted Ezine sneaking out of her hut. She wrapped herself in a dark cloth and followed from a safe distance, careful to remain unseen. The path Ezinne took led deep into the forest, far beyond the Iroko tree she had spoken of. Amada's heart pounded as she stepped carefully over fallen branches, her bare feet pressing into the cold earth. Ezinne finally stopped at a small clearing, illuminated by a faint blue glow. There, she knelt before an earthen shrine, adorned with strange objects, bones, feathers, and clay bowls filled with dark, viscous substances. Amada gasped silently as she watched Ezinne pull a bundle of fresh herbs and a live black hen from her bag. Ezinne began chanting under her breath, words foreign and unsettling, her voice trembling with desperation. She slit the hen's throat, letting the blood drip into one of the bowls. She then raised her hands to the sky, crying, "Nuani Allah, I have come again. Strengthen my hands. Grant me more power." Amada froze, her blood running cold. She knew the name Nuani Allah, the infamous witch goddess from the neighboring community. It was said she demanded unimaginable sacrifices in exchange for her blessings. Ezinne, deep in her ritual, had no idea she was being watched. When she finally finished and disappeared into the forest, Amada waited until the coast was clear, then hurried back to the village with her discovery. The next morning, Amada went straight to the elders. She recounted everything she had seen: the shrine, the ritual, and Ezinne's invocation of Nuani Allah. All words caused an uproar in the community. The elders immediately summoned Ezinne to the village square. The villagers gathered in large numbers, their faces filled with anger and curiosity. Ezinne arrived, feigning innocence, her face calm but her heart racing. She knew she had been accused, but she resolved to deny everything. "Ezinne," the chief elder began, his voice firm, "Amada has accused you of worshipping the forbidden Nuani Allah and sacrificing your twins for power. What do you have to say?" Ezinne fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "My elders, my people, I am innocent. Amada must have misunderstood something. I am grieving, just like all of you. How could I do such a thing to my own flesh and blood?" The crowd murmured, some skeptical, others unsure. But Amada stood her ground. "You lie, Ezinne. I saw you with my own eyes. You were at the shrine in the forest, calling upon the witch goddess. You sacrificed the black hen and invoked her name. Tell them the truth." Ezinne shook her head vehemently. "This is madness. I have done no such thing. She is trying to ruin me." The elders, sensing the gravity of the situation, decided to invoke the gods to uncover the truth. They brought out a sacred staff believed to compel honesty from even the most ardent liar. The staff was laid before Ezinne, and the chief elder prayed, "O great gods of truth and justice, reveal the hidden deeds of this woman. Let her tongue speak only what is true, for the sake of this grieving community." Watch out for part 2, how she denied the gods through the magical powers linked to Nuani Allah, to the surprise of Adana, and how the table turned against Adana.